Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing some Farmhouse Thrift Flips, and this is part of the Makeover May playlist. I'm so excited to be joining all these amazing creators. No surprises, my topic is Farmhouse. There is a giveaway for this playlist. You could win a $100 gift card. You need to watch every Friday's video, collect all of the code words, you write them down somewhere, keep them safe, don't put them in the comments. And then on the 27th of May, the DIY Struggle is going to post a post in their community tab, and you need to go there and write yes, that you've collected all of the words, you've watched all the videos, and then she is going to randomly pick somebody's name, and if you are selected, you will have to email all those code words to her. A little bit involved, but it's so worth it, guys, if you want to take part. So make sure you keep an eye out in my video. I will put the code word up on the screen. My first farmhouse project is this lovely milk jug. What is more farmhouse than a milk jug? I thought this was perfect. To prep this, I sprayed it with Rust-Oleum's Clear Matte Sealer, and now I am going to be dabbing and stippling on some of Dixie Belle's Cotton Chalk Mineral Paint. I'm using a dabbing and stippling motion because this minimizes brush strokes, and it's going to give it a bit more of a powder coated look, which definitely goes with what we're achieving today. So I'm going to work my way around, and I'm going to cover the entire milk jug with this beautiful cotton paint. You can find a full product list in the description of this video, and I've got links to all of the products that you can get from my website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. It's going to take me 2.5 coats of this paint to get full coverage because it is a very light paint, and I did use an artist's brush to get into some of those trickier areas. Once my paint is dry, I'm going to use some of Dixie Belle's Anchor Silk Mineral Paint. I have a small brush for this, and I'm going to go over the top of the word milk. I'm just hitting the high points here. I don't need this to be perfect. I'm going to be distressing it back, and it's going to take 2 coats for this. Once my paint is completely dry, I'm going to use some 220 grit sandpaper to distress it back and create that aged look. To age this even further, I'm using IOD's Vintage Textures stamp, specifically the Chippy paint look, and I'm using IOD Permanent Black ink. I'm just going to randomly press it on my milk jug, just anywhere that I think that natural wear would occur. This stamp set is definitely one of my favorites to use. It's the perfect finishing touch on a piece if you're wanting to create a vintage weathered look. It has chippy paint, crackled paint, cracked paint with thicker, longer lines, and it also has what looks like distressed paint or distressed metal. So you get a lot in that pack, and it's perfect if you like a farmhouse look. Once the ink is dry, I'm going to use some 220 grit sandpaper to lightly distress the areas where I have stamped, just to give it a bit more of a subtle look. Next, I'm using the IOD ink pad, and I'm just running it along the edges of the rim up the top. I just think it ties together beautifully. And then I'm going to seal the entire thing with Dixie Belle's Best Dang Wax in Clear. I'm using a microfiber cloth to buff off the excess. I decided to add a little bit more age. I've grabbed my brown Best Dang Wax brush. I haven't added any extra. I've just got what's remaining on there. I don't wash my wax brushes. It's water-based wax, so it's fine. So I'm just running the brush over the milk jug, and then I will buff off the excess. I just want a hint of that brown tone. And then I'm adding some of Dixie Belle's Dixie Dirt in charcoal, just to the areas where I think dirt would naturally fall and gather. So around the handles, around the lip, and also I'm going to add some around the bottom and around the letters. This is a powder form product. It also comes in a brown tone, which is called Dixie Dirt in Earth, and ash, which is a bit more grey. This is wonderful if you like your projects to look really grungy and authentically aged. And here's our finished milk can. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think that now it looks vintage and aged and definitely something that would look cute in any kitchen. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Our next project is this tray that was originally from IKEA. I have already primed it with Rust-Oleum's Clear Matte Sealer, and now I'm going to be doing a similar process to the first project. I'm dabbing and stippling on that cotton chalk mineral paint. Stippling on the paint means no brush strokes. So I'm going to be painting the entire tray, and it's going to take 2.5 coats to get the coverage that I want. Next, I'm going to be using some of Dixie Belle's Iron Patina Paint. This is going to give us a rustic look. I'm going to stir it really well to get all those metal particles stirred together, and then I'm using a small artist brush to go around anywhere that I want that rusty sort of a look to appear. I'm particularly focusing on the rim of the tray. I'm also going to be adding it to the handles and other areas. I'm going for a rustic but also sort of enamel look here. So we just want to take something that's new and we want to give it some character and age. If you are participating in the giveaway, my code word is Rustic. I've got it on the top of the screen. Write it down somewhere safe so that if Brandi from the DIY Struggle emails you, you have that code word ready. Write it down, don't put it in the comments. Now that you have the code word, let's get back to it. I'm going to be giving this tray one coat and then letting that coat dry completely. Then I'll be coming back in with the second coat so we can move on to the activation step. So I'm applying the second coat of the Iron Patina Paint. I've sped it up for you guys so it's not too repetitive. And then once this is done, I'm going to get a new brush. You don't want to mix up your brushes. And I'm going to organize my green patina spray. I'm going to pour it out into a separate container, just approximately how much I think I'll need. I've got my paintbrush and I'm dipping it into the green spray and I'm applying it to the wet Iron Patina Paint. Now, it's called a green spray because it does come with a nozzle, but you don't have to use the nozzle. When I'm working on a project like this where I have a very specific area that I want to have the rustic look, I tend to use the paintbrush. It just gives me a lot more control. I'm going to add a little bit more of the green activation spray just around where I think rust would naturally occur, and then the next day this is what we're left with, some rusty crusty goodness. Now I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm now going to come in with some more of my cotton chalk mineral paint. I have a chip brush. I'm dabbing and stippling it in certain areas. I just want to tone it down just a little, not a huge amount, just a little bit, so that it looks a bit more blended in, like it's happened naturally, not like I've just painted on a product. So I'm going to go around and just add a little bit more of that paint. I just find that it really gives it a bit more of a realistic look when I add this step. I want to add some text to the center, so I'm using an element from JRV Stencils, the mini advertising labels. I have some of Dixie Belle's Umber Silk Mineral Paint on a little artist brush. I'm dabbing off the excess and then I'm going in and I am swirling and dabbing to get my stencil looking crisp. These stencils are beautiful to work with, and I definitely recommend offload most of your paint. That is the best way to avoid any smearing or bleeding under your stencil. Once my paint is dry, I'm using some 220 grit sandpaper to lightly distress the stencil so that it looks a little bit more rustic and ties in better with the look that we're going for. After cleaning off my sanding dust, I'm going to seal the entire tray with some of Dixie Belle's Clear Best Dang Wax. I'm then going to use a microfiber cloth to buff off the excess. And here's our finished rustic tray. I love how this turned out. I think that patina paint makes it look authentically aged, and the JRV stencil just adds that little bit of something extra. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Our next project is this little ceramic horse that I picked up for a few dollars at the thrift store. I've already sprayed it with Rust-Oleum's Clear Matte Sealer so that it has a good surface for paint. I am now coming in with Dixie Belle's Iron Patina Paint again. Now, in hindsight, I definitely think that I should have sprayed this with perhaps a black spray paint first, because this is going to take me 3 coats to get the coverage I want, but live and learn. I'll definitely be doing that in the future. So I'm going to apply 2 coats of the Iron Patina Paint. I'm going to let it dry in between each coat. I'm using a dabbing and stippling motion because I love the texture that provides. And now I'm coming in with the 3rd coat. So remember, we need the coat of patina paint to be wet so that when we come in with the activation spray, it can do its thing, it can get rusty. So this is the 3rd coat, and after I'm finished adding that, I'm going to actually take a little plastic spray bottle and I am going to pour some of the green activation spray into it. Now, your patina spray does come with a spray nozzle, but I want to use this one because it is completely plastic. So I'm not going to be worried about anything metal becoming corroded. I can leave this spray in this container without any issues. So I've put it in the new container as well, also because it's going to provide less overspray. I'm sealing up my patina paint really tight. You don't want to accidentally get any of that spray in there. It could activate it. And now I'm working my way around and spraying the green spray on my wet patina paint. I'm going to go from a few different angles and I'm going to spray it generously. Once I've sprayed my entire piece, I'm going to leave this overnight so that it can activate and do its thing. When I came back the next morning, it had not rusted as much as I wanted. It's tricky to see in this photo. There were definitely rust spots, but it wasn't as obvious as I was hoping, but that's okay. We're going to adapt. I'm going to come in now with some of Dixie Belle's white Best Dang Wax. I'm going to make this look a bit oxidized, so you'll still be able to see the rust. I'm going to make sure that I wipe it away from the areas that are obviously rusty, but this is going to give it a bit more of an oxidized look. It's definitely going to fit in with the look I was going for, so I'm going to work my way around this lovely horse, adding the wax into all of those details, and then I'm going to wipe it back with the microfiber cloth. I don't want to wipe too much back. We're going to have to just sort of try and find that happy medium. Now, as to why this didn't rust as much as I was hoping, I'm thinking it's because I didn't spray enough of the product on. I probably could have been a bit more generous with it, so I'll definitely keep that in mind in the future, especially because it would have probably run off down the sides and not collected the way that it probably should to be able to do what it needs to do. So in the future, I'll definitely adapt, and that's what we do when we're crafting. We learn from our mistakes. So definitely you guys keep that in mind if you're using this product, to make sure you're generous with that spray, but also be careful not to get it on anything metal. Maybe take your jewelry off or wear gloves when you're doing it. And here's our finished horse statue. Even though this didn't go exactly to plan, I am really happy with this. I love that the white wax makes it look oxidized, that you can still see that rust showing through. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Our final project today is this lovely wooden stool that I picked up from the thrift store. My first step is to sand it really well. I'm using a cordless sander here. I'm starting with some 80 grit sandpaper to really get in there and remove all of that old stain. So I'm going to work my way around the stool and sand it all completely off. And I thought this was perfect for today's video, because what is more farmhouse than a Chippy farmhouse stool? After getting most of that old stain off, I'm going to switch to a 220 grit sandpaper and we're ready to go. I'm going to seal my piece now with some of Dixie Belle's Clear Boss. This is going to stop the red or orange bleed through coming through our paint, because we are going to be using a light colored paint. So this is really going to help. Now I'm going to use some of Dixie Belle's Clear Best Dang Wax. This is going to act as a resist, because we're going to to be using milk paint, and milk paint loves raw timber, so I don't want it soaking in. I want to create a chippy look here, so the wax is going to be the resist that we need. Next, I'm going to mix up some of Fusion's Toasted Coconut Milk Paint. This is one of my favorite colors. It's a beautiful cream. I'm measuring 1 capful into my mixing cup, and then I'm going to do the same amount of water in the same cap, so it's equal parts milk paint to water, and then I'm going to stir it up really well with my little whisk to make sure it's stirred up really well, and then we're ready to go. I'm applying my milk paint with a natural bristle brush. I just find that it holds onto the paint really well and distributes it evenly, but really any brush will do. So I'm going to lay down my first coat. As you can see, I'm not being super careful. It's almost impossible to get brush strokes with milk paint. Did you guys know that? I think that's amazing because it levels out so beautifully and it is a thinner consistency. So I've added that first coat, and once I've let that dry completely, I am actually going to come in and start working on adding a little bit more wax because I just want to create just a little bit more of a resist. It's going to create another layer, and once I've done that, I'm going to come in with my second coat, and this is where we want to speed up that drying process. So I'm going to work in sections. I've added it to the top, and here you can see that my heat gun is cracking and chipping that paint. You can already see it starting to flake. This is a super fun paint to work with. So I'm going to work in sections and repeat the same steps. And now outside, look at that. Hopefully you guys can see it. We have some beautiful chipping and cracking happening. Now I'm going to come in with my sander. I have some 220 grit sandpaper on my cordless sander there, and you can already see that that paint is chipping off beautifully. I really don't think you can replicate this look. It looks so beautiful and authentic and old. So I'm going to work my way around, particularly focusing on the edges and anywhere that I think that that age would naturally occur, and anywhere that our paint has cracked and it's loose, this sander is going to be able to chip that off. If I hadn't put down that wax, we would not be able to achieve the same chipping that we have because milk paint sticks amazingly well to raw wood. So if you want to achieve a similar look, make sure you're putting down some sort of a resist like wax so that you can achieve this chippy farmhouse look. Now that I'm finished sanding, I need to seal. So I'm using Dixie Belle's Clear Bestang wax to seal my stool. Wax is perfect for sealing milk paint, or you could also use hemp oil. Finally, after about 10 minutes, I'm going to come in and buff my wax with a paper towel. And here's our chippy farmhouse stool. I love how this turned out. I never cease to be amazed by the power of milk paint and how it can transform something into making it look like it's old and weathered and been around for many, many years. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video, and I am so thankful to have been able to join in with the Makeover May playlist. I will link that playlist in the description so you can go and check out those other videos. Grab those code words if you are interested in entering the giveaway, and please let me know which of today's projects was your favorite. Leave me a comment, hit that like button. It means the world to me when you guys interact with my videos, so I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. You can find the products used in today's video on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.